Okay, I'm JJ van Dongen. I'm the CEO of Philips for Africa. The insights from today is really exciting because in Africa we see over the coming years a continued growth. The GDPs are showing high growth in the above 5%, but right across Africa we see a lot of opportunity developing in terms of business in both retail as well as in business to business and infrastructure development with government. We are really excited because we set up organizations in 5 districts across Africa, and we are focused on the big 7 countries, followed by the next tier of 20 countries which have large cities of more than population of 1 million. And that really sings to our tune as a company because we can then build strong relationships with government and with the consumer across the continent, addressing issues like mother and child mortality, retail, and opportunities in terms of efficient lighting in cities. So it's really quite an exciting future we see going forward. What I saw from my panelists was that we all had very similar visions in terms of Africa. We all recognized the opportunity. We all focused on execution in terms of the strategy that we developed individually as companies, and that will deliver the success. So we were all very optimistic in terms of the future. Other discussions in terms of labour, specifically in South Africa, was really quite exciting because I think a pact between labour and business is really quite essential in terms of moving forward, facilitated by the government, to really make South Africa a success. I believe that the topics were very strong. They gave a very good overview from the global to the Africa to the local perspective, and addressed the needs that we are seeing. It just gave confidence in the opportunity. It also highlighted specifically in, say, South Africa, the opportunities in terms of working together to make a success here. I believe that no matter where you are in Africa, there is opportunity. It's about how you as a company or as an individual grasps that opportunity and builds on it for success. It's about execution of the strategy that you may develop, and it's about being really very locally relevant, building local teams that address local needs and really gains opportunity from those local specific needs to address society's requirements.
My name is Björn Mead. I'm the country leader for DuPont in South Africa. I'm a regular guest, I think, from the Economist Corporate Network. I'm enjoying it because it provides insights into what's going on in the world. We had the first session today with a global wrap-up, what is going on. It's very, very informative and good to know. The second one was then really focusing on South Africa, and we heard Warren speaking about what executives, what leadership thinks about investment in Africa, how the situation is, what are the challenges, and this is of course very important to know for us. We have a strong base here in South Africa, but we are looking for investments outside of Africa. We see the very optimistic growth there, and it's of course challenging, but we believe Africa has significant opportunities, and we would like to be part of getting those opportunities materialized. Yes. Networking, I think it's always a good opportunity to meet with stakeholders, to meet with other companies who face similar challenges, investors, banks, and governments. So I appreciate this opportunity, and yeah, there's always too less time for networking, but at least some network is always possible. One key is certainly the challenges which we have seen from Warren presented in the countries. It's interesting for me how this is viewed from people in those countries, and also how the people, the leadership in the countries view their country, the development, and also compare it with other developments or in other countries.
All right, Peter Sutcliffe from Total Coal. I found the sessions today to be very effective, very useful from a point of view, from an information perspective. And from the stuff that I've taken away from this is really getting the dynamics around the movement within Africa, and where the growth opportunities are coming from, and how the dynamics are shifting across the different regions in the way it goes forward. In terms of the networking sessions, it's been great to interact with other people in other industry sectors, to be able to see the difference that actually comes forward and how we can share information of similar natures to be able to advance our own organizations. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Mike Baboms. I'm the Managing Director of Michelin South Africa. and I'm really enjoying the sessions today. The session that I found most informative was the first one, the global outlook on Africa. I think as in our day-to-day activities, we don't only take the time out to really look at what is happening around us, and putting all the economic events happening in the world together with the figures that were shown really gets you thinking about some of the opportunities that this continent has to bring. And I think it's definitely some key takeaways that we can discuss in our management team and how to act in the way forward. Today's networking has been very useful. It's always good to speak to other people out of different industries, or to see how they feel about the things going on in Africa, and South Africa in particular, and allows us to learn and exchange about policies, procedures, impact of government on whatever we do, and it's definitely some learning points here.
I think one of the key insights I gained was that there's a lot of optimism out there, but also a recognition of the challenges that business faces, but also the need for business to be more open-minded. One of the commentators spoke about being open-minded for business as opposed to just open for business, and I really appreciated that insight, because we all need to be part of solving the challenges that lie ahead of us. I was really impressed with the quality of discussion today. I felt that there were a number of different viewpoints expressed, and a few aha moments where I took new learnings away, particularly in the area of the economic outlook for global markets, but also how that impacts on Africa, and also hearing from other corporates what they're doing in this region. It's always helpful for us as companies to be able to do some kind of benchmarking against what others are doing, how they're succeeding, and how that might help us to reshape our approach.
Our economic outlook for 2015 is for continued global growth at about 3.5% per year. And we think the big drivers of the global economy this year are going to be the US, China, which although it's slowing will continue to be a huge driver, growing at about 7% this year, India, which is growing off a smaller base but is also growing at about 7% this year. Slower growth in Europe, continued problems around deflation and unemployment levels, high debt levels in certain countries, risks to Europe. But overall, the outlook is pretty good. The global economy has been on a nice recovery track, and it's being helped quite a bit by China and by the US. Okay. The key messages for the global economic outlook this year is that there is a lot of uncertainty under the cover of a 3.5% global growth. There's uncertainty around what will happen in the Eurozone. There's uncertainty around some of the reforms that are needed in emerging markets in order to combat what we're calling kind of the brick wall effect of slow growth in the developing economies that are really growing at rich country growth rates, which is not good. And there's a lot of uncertainty too around where the oil price is going to settle.
I think the engagement, if you look around the room and get a sense of the type of people that are at the event, their backgrounds, their interests, their experiences, this is a fantastic arena to be exposed to and to be involved in. And listening to some of the conversations through the course of the day, filled with practical examples of hands-on experience, and I don't think there is any substitute for that hands-on experience. The biggest insight takes this form. There is no lack of ambition or determination on the part of business and policymakers and the broader public in South Africa. What we are missing is how we convert that vision into a practical reality and getting from idea into practice.
Very grateful for today's economist briefing. I think in typical economist style, they've been able to break down some large, complex global issues into very simple to understand pieces, and that has been incredibly useful for me. More so understanding the role of Africa inside the global economy. Some basic numbers which sometimes take us all by surprise are often forgotten. The fact that Africa's growth rate is perhaps the largest across the globe at the moment. And more interestingly for me is the role of South Africa within the global space as well as within the continent of Africa. Of course, always disappointing to see Africa fall behind some of our neighbors, but at the same time to see the interest from the US maintaining such a strong interest within South Africa. Today's networking has been incredibly useful from the perspective it's always good to meet old friends and colleagues, as well as new friends and that new to-be friends and soon-to-be colleagues that add a different perspective on perhaps those issues that are common across different industries. So very grateful for that, and it has been incredibly useful. I think my biggest takeaway is that we're not alone. Some of the challenges that we face out here, both in South Africa and the African continent, are not particularly unique across the world. Sometimes we get overly involved in what we're experiencing, and rightfully so, but at the same time, the entire world seems to be in a state of flux, and so much is yet to be determined.
I think there was a common agreement that the answer to the question as to whether South Africa is capable of reviving its economy and moving forward was yes, although from every point of view, yes, with qualifications. And as far as I was concerned, as a representative of the workers, I was insisting that success must not be built on the basis of cheap labor, because not only is it clearly wrong from a humanitarian and a social stability point of view to have such an unequal society with such high levels of poverty and unemployment, it also didn't make business sense, because far too many people in South Africa are unemployed or living in poverty and therefore not playing an active role in the economy. And as one of my fellow panelists, Adrian, said, inclusivity is one of the keys to developing an economy, so that everybody is playing a role.
Wow, there were many. I think that the title encapsulates the opportunity. Africa is the horizon, but in getting to that horizon, the business environment, although challenging, is worth doing. Margins in Africa are comparable, if not significantly higher, than what the respondents' firms are experiencing in other geographic areas. I see that there's quite a bit of internal contestation that's going to take place as people look to diversify out of their home markets, whether it's South Africans looking to West Africa or East Africans looking south and east or west. So the environment, although challenging, is certainly worth operating in. Yeah, I think that on the surprise front, one of the areas is the placement of Angola. So 17% of our respondents were based in Angola, and in particular in Luanda, yet only 13% of the total responses ranked Angola as the top market. Now, Angola is the third largest economy. It's not necessarily the most easy environment to do business in, but neither is Nigeria, and neither is many other or many other countries. So one saw that Angola punches a bit below its weight, but on the positive side, I think there's a significant amount of potential going forward to do business in that market.